Welcome, listeners, to another episode of Impulse. I'm your host, Nils Wagner, and today we have another special treat for you. We're joined by the founders of CoStore, an innovative startup that's redefining the self-storage industry in Germany. Let's give a warm welcome to Nils Koepcke and Marcel Philipp Lang.
Thanks for having us, Nils.
Hi, Nils. Nice to be here.
So guys, today we want to talk a bit about your story, especially how you as the CoStore founders transitioned from corporate venture building to really stepping into the world of entrepreneurialism and co-founding now this startup. So, really having some insight on this journey of bringing a corporate venture into the real world and making it successful. So should we get started?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it.
All right, maybe first, just for our listeners, would you introduce yourselves, give a quick rundown of your bio? Marcel,
Sure.
you want to start?
Yeah, happy to start. I'm Marcel, co-founder and co-CEO together with Nils from CoStore. Currently just 30 years old in January, from the greater Karlsruhe area where I was born and raised. I started my early career as a traineeship, as an industrial clerk at EnBW in Karlsruhe, which is a large energy provider, and then continued there working on the job and studying besides in a business administration. That means I did my bachelor in business administration with a focus on the energy sector. From there on, I went into different departments from that large energy provider and got involved with corporate startups first, and where I realized my passion for business building, and which is why I also pursued a master in entrepreneurship at Utrecht University afterwards. And yeah, from there on, my journey continued. I went to Bitrock, a venture builder in Munich, where I also joined as a venture architect, meaning I was building startups, identifying business opportunities, basically in pharma, cybersecurity, and real estate, where I also met Nils, and where we then co-founded from the Rehow project, we co-founded CoStore together and transitioned into that.
So Marcel, you made that leap from, let's say, the safe environment of a corporate venture builder into the real harsh world of being your startup founder. What was that like to make that transition?
Yeah, so basically I would even go one step earlier means I basically grew up in a world where we had 20,000 employees, large corporation. So my early business mindset, I was like bound to corporate restrictions, processes, everything was in that small space, had the corporate environment handle all the background processes. And at Bitrock then, I gained more freedom in that, identifying the business ideas. My day-to-day work involved much more freedom. But the business still organized most aspects, meaning Bitrock handled all the salaries, taxes. I never heard of those things before. And with CoStore now, there's so much more freedom. We can basically shape whatever we want to do on a day-to-day basis, of course, aligned with the business idea and our business plans and visions. But still, there's so many more responsibilities now, meaning we have to manage our own salaries, the notary things, the taxes, pay the bills our own. And that's challenging. It's intense, but also, especially as a first-time founder, but also it's very exciting to be on this path. So yeah, it's fun, but also challenging.
Well, we'll hear more about those challenges going forward. But first, Nils, please introduce yourself as well to the audience.
Yeah, sure. So Nils Koepcke. I was born and raised in Hamburg, northern Germany, and living since 7 years in Berlin. I have a background in industrial engineering and innovation management, which I studied in Bremen, Berlin, Twente, and Shanghai. And I always had this, had the feeling I want to, at one point, start in the startup scene. So at one point, I want to have my own startup. This was always a thing for me during my bachelor's. It began. So this was also the reason why I moved to Berlin, because Berlin was like the startup hub back then. And you had to come to Berlin to enter the startup scene. So, but I had no really idea. So which startup should I do? So I thought, okay, venture building is a nice area where you, go into look into the industries, look into needs, and find problems, and then develop concepts to solve those problems. So I started next to my studies at a corporate company builder to gain knowledge into starting up companies and startups. And then, yes, after my studies, I also founded then my first startup together with two others, which was in travel tech area. It was really interesting idea, and we had a lot of fun, but in the end, we didn't make it. So it was 2 years of a lot of learnings and lessons learned, but yeah, didn't make it. So this was then. So I went back to the venture building again because I thought, okay, let's do it again. So I went to another venture builder in Munich called Bitrock, where I then had my first project with Rehau New Ventures, actually. And then, yeah, I had to deep dive the prop tech industry. And yeah, 1.5 years later, I'm now co-founder of CoStore.
Great. I mean, maybe just also for the audience to make it clear. So Rehau New Ventures, we're a corporate venture builder. We have been collaborating with the venture builder Bitrock for a while now. And actually, this project that we started with Bitrock, both Marcel and Yannis were actually on the project team. So as you heard, both of them with a bit of a bit different background. Marcel really coming through the corporate route. Yannis apparently has the founder gene built in somewhere. So always looking for that startup experience, and then really having decided to make the jump there. Yannis, for you, what was the decisive point to really convince you to jump off the venture building platform into the startup CoStore?
So yeah, as I said, I once had the startup already, and this wasn't the big success as I hoped for. So back then, after this, it was kind of like a small disappointment, of course. And I thought, okay, so that was the shot I had. Now go for the corporate ladder and get something solid and make your real career. But somehow it also struck me that, as I always said, like founders, it's really, really important to show persistency. So, and then I thought, okay, to stay persistent, I should do the same again, go back to the venture building and then find a new cool idea, which I then found, which I will then start. And this was then the same procedure again, going back to venture builder, joining Bitrock, finding cool new ideas in the project with Rehau New Ventures. Then we had this CoStore idea, which we validated really a lot. And we were really, really confident and are still really confident with the idea. And then there was this opportunity again to jump again from the ladder of a safe environment into the founder's seat. And didn't really regret it. It was the best to do.
I mean, we know, or it's assumed common knowledge in the whole startup ecosystem that ideas are kind of a dime a dozen. You can always find good ideas, but it really comes down to people, and basically, taking that idea and making it come to life and really, executing on that idea. It's all about implementation, and implementation depends on the people behind it. So tell me a little bit about you two guys. You met at Bitrock, and what made you sure that you guys were a good fit, a good match to take that leap into the cold water?
I can jump in here. I think that was really a luxury we had while working together as consultants and a venture builder, because we had basically 1 year working together as colleagues and to also see if there's a fit or not. So we worked together as colleagues, not as co-founders, and we saw we both have a really good fit. Marcel has more like this tech background. I'm more from the startup side. So the strategic, everyone brought strategic aspects to the table, and we could use it greatly for the project and to finding the prop tech ideas for the Rehau project. And this was also like one really big proof point I learned, which is really important to have the right founder on your side, co-founder on your side. and we could make a big check on this early on, proved it 1 year already. And so it was about the idea then, which had to be also needs a big proof. So we continue with it. But this was really a good start for us, starting as colleagues.
Okay, so you had a bit of a honeymoon phase while you were working on the project.
Yeah. Yes.
So what about you? What was kind of the defining moment, to decide really to take this opportunity, leave the comfort zone, and then together with Yannis really go into this this opportunity?
Well, I would say Yannis and I both have really high tolerances for risk and uncertainty, and that's what we learned in the project last year. We had 1 year basically scrolling through spreadsheets of business ideas, seeing what would work, what would not. And then also both of us had a goal in mind that we want, the next step is a new venture we want to create and build. So that aligned us. And as I said, the risk and uncertainty it was never an issue for us. We always said we want to do that and we're going to do that. And I think it was great that we aligned there, and that's why we said we move forward. For me personally, leaving the comfort zone is for CoStore was found on the basis that I like the direct impact my decisions have. When you look at my background, that I worked for a large corporation, I always felt like a small part of a big corporation. Even further, that they produced energy and the product was never tangible. You could never see it. And I always felt like that small part. And now my decisions have much more impact and my actions. And I really like that about having an own venture where you can shape, create, and make the vision come true.
Well, look, gentlemen, I think we learned a bit about you, about your intrinsic motivation, but I mean, urgently now we need to update our listeners on what are we actually talking about. So introduce us to CoStore, please. What does CoStore do?
I can do this. So like in a short pitch, what we do is we rent shipping containers to people who needs them. So like a really, really short pitch, but to expand it a bit more, CoStore is about we building container parks throughout Germany, which people then can use to put their stuff in. And with people, I mean residents and businesses. So there's a lot of shortage in the self-storage area, which we are in. So people just needing space because they have so much clutter in their home, or businesses who wants like a really small a really small room next to a building site or something to store their materials in. And we thought, okay, this is why don't we use containers for this? Containers are really easy to build, to put on the land and just make it available via digital tools. So this was basically the idea behind this. Get containers, get a land, put them on there and make them easy accessible for people. So in the end, it's automated container parks, which we are offering and now developing and then operating also. And we use shipping containers because shipping containers is like they bring 3 really great advantages with us. So first, we have this limited construction cost because normal self-storage providers, they build buildings where they then put units in. So we don't have to build anything. We just need a solid ground. We put our containers there and that's it. And the second thing is, based on this modularity of the containers, we are really flexible with the scaling of the parks. So we can actually grow with the demand. We can say, okay, this month we are probably going to be full. So let's order 10 more containers and put them there. So then we have space again. On the other side, we can also downscale. If we see, okay, we have way more containers than we need. So that's actually really, really good on the financing side. And the last thing is we can also use properties which are really just temporarily available, because once the rent is done, we can move everything easily. We don't have to tear up any buildings or something. So we're really quick and easy to go, which makes a lot of sites available in Germany. So these are like the key components which we saw. That's a great thing to enter the self-storage with.
Can you talk a little bit about the economics of this whole sector or industry? Because I think from someone not as involved in the topic, it would seem, well, I mean, it can't be such a huge demand. There are already existing self-storage solutions out there. So give us a bit of an insight on the macroeconomics here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can touch on that. So basically, the whole self-storage industry was founded in the North American market. There's been self-storage starting from the 60s on to nowadays. It's also the largest market in the world. They have like 55,000 storage units or facilities, whereas in the EU you have around 8,000 facilities, and we have much more people. So that's like the economics of the market. We also have much higher population density, which also plays into self-storage, plays a large role in self-storage. In Germany, self-storage has been around for 15 years now. The first self-storage facilities, the large buildings, everybody knows, they were built in city centers where demand was high. And nowadays, the whole demand grows outside of the cities and into the suburbs, which is basically where we come into play. So the last 15 years have been on educating the German market. There's self-storage. This is a need. People had cellars back in the days and basements. People nowadays don't have the cash or the money to build basements, extra storage in their houses. So basically, we say the market is now educated enough for us. After 15 years, we come into play, and there's given product market fit. We see that self-storage works in Germany, but the big players now face problems with the high building costs where we come into play, and we can also just rent properties they have to buy when they want to build, etc. So it's very unusual to get an opportunity in such a developed market as Germany is, but with a new market that is just growing. It's a very unusual opportunity we're taking right now.
Okay, so you're saying this is still a developing market, it's a growing market, and that's where you see the opportunity in terms of timing. Definitely your approach, it's maybe a bit more asset light. You're only renting properties, you have the kind of modularity and flexibility of containers. But tell us a little bit then about your proposition to the customer. So what's that journey like if I want to use your offer? And then at the same time, also, what are you doing in terms of creating some moats to keep competitors off your backs?
So what is our USP? So first of all, it's the size and the affordability of the boxes. As we said, we are a bit more outside, and we don't focus on amenities like cooling, heating, and multiple storage and something. We offer big boxes, 7 square meters or 14 square meters, which are easy accessible. So you can drive up with your car and unload instantly. So there's like a 1 or 2 meter distance from your car to the unit, which is not a thing in the traditional storage space where you have multiple levels and you have to take the elevator. And when you have big materials, you can't go through the hallways with them. It's a hassle. So we are a bit more outside. You can instantly reach your unit, and we offer big space. This is the major thing. And the user story, the user journey is, we try to make it 100% digital. So what we are doing here is we use the state-of-the-art technology and the self-storage industry. So we can use digital park management tools, which offer us the potential to let the customers book a unit like within 10 minutes. You can stay in front of the container, scan the code, and then you make your login and everything, register yourself, sign the contract, and then you instantly get the code for the lock, which we then provide, and you can open it. So there's no human interaction with it. This also leads to the way that we don't have that big of operations cost per park, which is also a big factor to decrease the money we have to take, or the price we have to take. So these are like the big points or the big USPs we bring in there: affordability, accessibility, and 24/7 availability.
Yeah. On the other hand,
and it seems you're Maybe just to jump in there, it seems you're addressing then mainly, or at least that's what you said, mainly what private citizens, homeowners, etc. But it seems even for small businesses, this could be interesting, right? Like if I have a small shop or maybe small e-commerce business, I can't afford a big warehouse, but I can maybe flexibly, book some rental space. Is that something you're seeing, or no?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we learned. I mean, we identified that business and then talked to customers as well. Meaning, we talked to especially solar companies that maybe need sales all over Germany and have maybe construction zones all over Germany and need some space there and can't afford, as you said, a warehouse or build a new warehouse. We also see, especially the parcel companies like DPD, for example, use this as hubs, meaning a large truck comes, puts in a lot of packages for the city into one of the container, and the smaller providers come and pick them up in the container. So there's a lot of businesses, and going into that, it's also growing by a rate. I think it was 5% last time I looked. Overall, the self-storage industry, that commercial users are growing and use self-storage even more than the residential people.
Okay. Fascinating. I mean, really interesting topic that you're onto. But let's get back to maybe the issue of creating some moats or defensibility. I mean, what happens if one of these other self-storage providers, the more conventional ones, sees what you're doing and is like, well, you can try that.
So what we're seeing is that we're not really competing with the people that are building self-storage in the city centers. So what they do not want to do is undermine their own prices, because that's what we can do. We can do it cheaper, and if they want to do it, some are, they're testing it out. They build some containers on their own lots, but they are usually priced at the same price as their own facilities, meaning they do not want to undermine their prices they have nowadays. And we also talked to self-storage owners in Poland, for example, and they say the same things. And in Scotland, it's the same. They have the normal self-storage providers, but they also have the container providers, and the container providers are basically seen as discount providers. They can offer at cheaper prices. They still have profit, make money, but they undermine traditional storage, self-storage, which is also priced way higher and maybe too high, to be honest. And
okay, so right now you're really benefiting from market growth, and that the incumbents are hesitant to cannibalize
exactly
their prices due to the large investments that they've
exactly
made. Okay.
And also the container sector should be seen as one itself. So if you look at the container sector today in Germany, there's mostly tradesmen that do it on the side. They put some containers on the lots. They sell them. They have like 20 containers and sell them for cheap. Their websites are not really great. They have like a contact formula or something. And what we do is we also set up a process that analyzes all the new properties that come in daily. And then in the end, just says here, this works. This is the financials of that location. And then we can fastly process new properties that we have. And from there, we have a much quicker approach to the traditional providers there.
Cool. And just maybe to close off the topic of where you stand with your startup before we get back to the founder journey. So where do you stand? Have you already started building a park, or have you identified some properties? Tell us about where you are at right now.
We are currently negotiating with multiple property owners. So as Marcel said, we have this funnel now opened. A lot of exposals and internet platforms are being scraped or sent in. We analyze the properties on the potential we have, and based on this funnel goes step by step, analyzing, then going into financial analysis, then going into negotiations, finally the contracting. We are bullish to open the first park in October, which on a property which we found with the help of Rehau New Ventures, because Rehau also has multiple sites within Germany. And there's one site close to Frankfurt where there's still some space available, luckily. So this is perfect for us to give it the first pilot park approach, and we are already in talks with the authorities there to realize the plans we have. And so October, hopefully, the opening of the first CoStore park. And we have in line already the next properties for every second or 3 months afterwards.
Fantastic. Well, look, fingers crossed that it works with your opening in October.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's get back a bit to your founder's journey. I think, once you decided to take the leap, then suddenly things move fast. So please take our listeners on the journey of the first 100 days of you being co-founders for CoStore.
So yeah, what the first 100 days was primarily around 3 things. We had first, we wanted to have an external investor on board. So on this side, just to create runway and to have an external proof point from a person who's willing to give money or invest in the idea that we are on the right track here. So this was the first goal we had. So it was basically reaching out to a lot of VCs and angels and companies and talk to the people, get the idea challenged, and by this also sharpen the idea to make it even better, because we then realized, okay, there's this knowledge gap and this could be done better, and this is a critical point. So in the beginning, it was also a lot of being roasted by people who are experts in the area, and then they know where to put the finger, and this helped us really a lot. So the second thing was then to build a network also. So it was about first the suppliers, of course. To get the containers, we need the properties and we need the technology. And we also need people who are in this area to tell us how to work, what to do, what don't to do. And so we were on the phone a lot. We had a lot of meetings. We even flew to Las Vegas to the biggest self-storage exhibition to get inspired and also see how they do it in America, which was really, really, really good input there. And also to see, okay, how can it be done and how big can it be? So it was good for us also to even pump up the motivation, because when you're there, you think, wow, this is a really, really big market. And looking back to Germany, there's a lot to do. So a big aspect here. And the last thing was also to get off the house and see actual container parks in the doing. So we contacted other container park providers and asked them, can we have a look at your container park? Can you run us through your processes? Can you tell us what works, what doesn't work? What is not good? Where do you wish digitization would be better? So stuff like this, which really helped us to see what is working and how can we be better at this point.
Well, I mean, definitely a lot to do there in terms of, looking for investors, at the same time building out the network, at the same time, really getting all your ducks in a row in terms of suppliers, and then ultimately also, just in that whole process constantly, being challenged, right? And continually, I think, iterating and improving on your whole proposition. In that sense, then also congratulations on your seed round. So you were able to get a angel investor convinced that you guys are on the right track. And can you tell us a little bit about your angel investor, Oliver Gilbert, and also a little bit, what his role is in such an early phase of a startup? I think that's also a key element, I think, to, later success.
Yeah, of course. So basically, when we started, we had a pretty understandable idea. From the beginning on, there was a product market fit. I think that was super valuable. And we also had Rehau as a trusted brand in the back that also helped a lot going into the market. Most of the people knew Rehau in the building sector, and also the VCs that we talked to. And then also, as we had a product market fit, we also needed to prove Jannis and I. So basically, we had to prove us. We had to prove that we knew our stuff, that we are able to pull this off and to make this happen. So we reached out to around 100 people, 100 investors. We had around 10 personal meetings, so we were pretty quick. And we had one investor, basically, that we needed, and we found him. In my opinion, the funnel was super quickly executed. We had a lot of luck, basically, of the situation, and the real estate is looking for other ideas there are. But I had met Oliver basically last year already at Exporeal when we were testing the idea only at the Reha project. So we were testing it out. There was a matching system at Exporeal where I just messaged some people that had investment as a tag, and he reached out and said, "Hey, let's talk." And Oliver, who is Oliver? He's from London. He spent over 10 years in real estate investment. So he knew his stuff. He was considering a similar idea together with his wife, investing in a self-storage park, a container park in London, in the UK, but said that the market is way too crowded. So the UK market is super. It's one of the most advanced markets in Europe. So he said it's too crowded. Germany has much better numbers as an investment manager. He knew that. So he was super interested in the idea and invested after a while. And what Oliver does now with all his background, he basically helps us in financial engineering the whole idea, because that's actually a big part. We need to reduce all the investments that go into one park and make the burden of the cash flow feasible. And he helps managing that, set up all the balance sheets, etc., with the real estate project evaluations, all the numbers we need to know, KPIs, etc. So he's super valuable on that and helps us out wherever we need him.
Fantastic. And I guess his expertise in the matter is the one thing. Is he also coaching you on a more personal level, or where do you get, that kind of outside-in feedback, as you kind of work through, many problems every day, you constantly making decisions. Is it the angel investor? Do you coach each other, or are there people in your environment, in your surrounding that, kind of have that role of being a sounding board?
Yeah. So we meet Oliver. Basically, he's available all the time when we need him, that being via WhatsApp or just a call once a week. But we also have New Ventures Richard Lützner in the back, and also our former bosses from Bitrock, Lucas and Mark. And everybody there is a huge sounding board for us. Whenever we need something, they have their backgrounds in McKinsey, BCG, etc. So we always have people that we can reach out to. And also all the people we met at Bitrock are super helpful. Everybody knows some things. Most people started startups already, have ideas. We can always talk back to them and get a sounding board wherever we need it.
Fantastic. Super important to have that personal network, not just, on a topic level, but really also on an interpersonal level.
That's true.
That's fantastic. Giannis, what are you most excited about in the next few days? Anything in the pipeline that keeps you up at night that you're so excited about this week or next week?
Yeah, so we're right now in the negotiations with banks and debt investors. So this is a big part of it. So we are really curious to see what will be the end of the negotiations. What is the offer we get? So this is a big part of this whole concept, debt money. So this is, in the next few weeks will be the major point we're working on. And similarly, and simultaneously, we are working on a brand. So we have people on the brand. And we are also, of course, this kind of visualizes the concept even more and kind of manifested this like, okay, we are not a project anymore. We are a company now. And so really looking forward to see this brand also developing and then use it to build the first visuals and code for CoStoer.
I think we lost Giannis there a little bit, but maybe Marcel, for everyone else who's now excited about CoStore and wants to keep in touch and maybe see, where you guys are headed, where can our audience find out more information on CoStore? What channels can they find?
Yeah, I think best at this point would be LinkedIn. You can reach out personally to us or over the CoStore LinkedIn page. We also have a website. We'll be setting that up in a couple of weeks. Right now, it's only an investor page. And if there's any debt investor that looks to put his money into CoStore, that would also be great. Just reach out to us via LinkedIn. That would be the best way, I guess.
Perfect. We'll include some links also in our show notes. Well, gentlemen, time flies. I think it's time to wrap it up here now. So thank you very much for sharing your story. Inspirational to other corporate venturers, to other founders. And definitely we'll be keeping in touch, of course, closely. And I keep my fingers crossed for you So thanks for joining and sharing your story today.
Thank you, Nils. Thanks for the time.
Thanks very much, Nils.
And here to our listeners, thanks for tuning in again. If this is the first time, please follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Stay in touch with Impulse, brought to you by Rayhound New Ventures. I'm your host, Nils Wagner. Hope to catch you next time again. Thank you. Over and out.